Hey, welcome to Mike's Trains, and thanks for joining me for another video. So last time we did the interior to this, and as you can see here, I've added the windows and the doors, and I told you how that was going to go. So this is what we have. Looks like that, and then the two side doors. And you'll notice the other thing I added was the lift that's in the garage here, and that is in and done now. Now you don't see a car on there, and this is what it looks like from the top. Okay, and you can kind of see, there it is. Now you can see the oil stains on the floor. I think the floor looks pretty good. It's a good representation of a garage floor. And there's our tool chest. So everything is in that needs to be here. So the next thing we need to do is I want to add a couple of cars in the showroom here. We need to put a car on the lift, and we need a couple people in here. So I've already gone ahead and prepared some of these things. So why don't we take a look at what I have. Okay, so what I have here are a couple of cars, and these cars, I have three to be exact. And this car right here is the car that's going to go on the lift. Now this side I didn't really detail very much, and I didn't do the front at all. Actually I didn't do this side at all, but I did do the back. All right, because that's what you're going to see in the garage. And then I did this side. And I didn't spend a lot of time with it. You just need to see, you know, tail lights, and the wheels are kind of cleaned up a little bit. This is how it came. So we cleaned it up a little bit and turned it into this. And I picked white because it'll show up, you know, really well within the garage. So that's the car for the lift. Now the two for the showroom, chose this car here. This is a Woodland Scenics car. I think it's Woodland Scenics, from one of their scenes that I happen to have laying around on the layout. And inside the car, there's a figure already in there. So I figured this would be perfect to put in the showroom. So this is somebody that's looking at the car and wanting to buy it, and then with this person, we'll throw a salesman outside the door standing next to the car talking to them, right? So some sort of a restored car that, you know, the pride of the dealership kind of thing. And then I have this car. This is the second car for the showroom. Now this car I've repainted and kind of detailed up. Now keep in mind it is tiny, so I did what I could to detail it. I repainted it, and this is what we end up with. So this will be the second car in the showroom. And then what I have are a whole bunch of figures. Now these figures, I've actually repainted all of these. Alright, so we have two mechanics right here. I have two salesmen. This is the Car King himself. Okay. And then we have a family that's going to be customers, and they'll probably be outside in the lot with their kid. And then we have an elderly couple here, or an older couple, who are also looking to buy a car. And all of these figures I painted myself. I didn't, these aren't, you can't get these anywhere. So, let's see, yeah. So that's what we have for the showroom. And the rest of, these are all the figures that are going to go to the dealership. So we need to place a couple of these into the building. So here's our building. So let's take this first car. You get a little piece of paper here, and we're going to get out my Formula 560 Now at this point, with all of the windows being in here and the doors and all that stuff, I don't want to use CA or super glue in the interior here at all, anywhere where those windows are, because I don't want the windows to fog. So we're going to use this Formula 560, which is generally what I use. I like this stuff. It works pretty good. Okay. And we're going to glue the car in and a couple of the figures. So we're going to put a little drop of that down on the paper. So we'll put this right over here. And then what I'm going to do is I have a toothpick, and we're going to take the glue and just dab a little bit on each of the wheels. So now when you look into the garage bay, that's what you're going to see. See, just those two sides, that's all that's visible. And I think that's fine. I think it'll look great. So now we need to add the two mechanics into the garage. So what I'm going to do with those before I stick them in, I didn't always do this, but this is something I started doing and it really helps. Okay. The feet on these guys, there's always a little bit of extra something on the bottoms of their feet. So I just take these and just lightly run them over some sandpaper, just to knock them down and make them flat. And then we can take these guys, set him down in the glue a little bit. Alright, now those are going to need to dry before we can move this around too much. So now we have our mechanics in the garage here. Now we need to take care of the showroom in here. So let's get our two cars that are going to go in the showroom. There's this one, these two here. And I think what I would like is to have this one on this side of the showroom and then the newer one on the other side, because I would guess, now this is just my own thinking and reasoning for this, is that this car isn't necessarily, I mean, it's for sale, but they're going to be moving in and out newer cars more than they are this car. So let's take this just like the other one. And then we have our two cars in the showroom, just like that. Alright, I'm not going to tip this too much because this red one, the wheels roll on that, so I don't want it to move around. Now we need our showroom salesman that's talking to the guy sitting in the car. Now this guy is a little different. I've used him before and pulled him up, and he's actually lost a foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip off the other foot so that they're even. Like that. Okay, so now we have him and he's nice, and his feet are nice and even. So now we're going to give him a quick sand so that everything is flat. Like that. Now he's standing right beside the guy, so he's going to stay in there, and that's it. We're not going to put any more in here. The rest of the people that I have are going to be out in the parking lot. Okay, so now this, once this sets up and dries, we can come back and we can do the lighting and attach the roof and finish off the whole building, and then it's ready for the layout and the final landscaping around the whole building. Alright, so we're back and everything inside is dry. I've just laid the roof panel on top of the building. What I need to do is map out this wall that goes this way and the wall that goes this way. So I've already got a mark for the wall that goes this way, and I've actually gone ahead and marked off. So this is the garage side, this is the showroom side, and I don't want any wiring or lighting back here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do two different strips of lighting in here. And the lighting I'm using is going to be this same stuff that I've been using right along. And I've already cut off a couple of strips off of here. I've got one that's going to go right here in the center, and then another one above the garage right here, like that. And we're going to center that up side to side and front to back, because I want the lighting over the garage to be kind of centered up, because I want the full garage lit, but we only want the showroom lit here. So let's peel the backing paper off of these and place these in. And then we want the wiring to come into this area. And I think I'm going to use red and white for this. Right here. So we've got red and white, and I'm going to need 2 sets of wires. I only want to have one power feed coming into the building here, but I want to resistor both sets of the lights differently. Okay, so let's get this soldered up. First thing I want to do is I want to strip off one end of each of the sets of wires. So we're going to take this, we're going to strip off a little end, and we're going to take this other long white one and strip off a little bit there. And I need my clip here, my little guy here, and we're gonna tin the ends of the wire. So all I'm doing is I'm gonna twist the ends together, and I'm gonna put it in the clip, and we're gonna solder the end. We're gonna tin the ends of that. So I've showed you these before, but I'll show you again. These little lights, they come in sets of 3, right? So you can see you have a set of copper pads, 1, 2, 3 bulbs, another set of copper pad, 1, 2, 3. There's another copper pad right at the top. So you always have to do them in sets of 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these. I'm going to solder this set here, and you can see where it's already registered plus and minus. I don't need to know, it's already said for me that this is the minus side, this is the plus side. So I'm going to take red as the plus and white as the minus, and I'm going to solder a lead onto each end of this. So we're going to start by adding a little, we're just going to solder up that little pad like that. So we just need that little touch of solder on there. And then we're going to take white to the minus, like that. And then we're going to bend this one over, and this is going to come just like this, and then it'll go down through the building. Now we got to do the same on this other one here. So that'll go like that. Now I've got a whole bunch of wires here. Pull out this red one, and then 2 white ones. And let's strip the end of all these wires here and just make sure that everything's working and we have good connection. We'll take the red here, and we'll take the black, and now you can see we have full working lights. Okay, they're very bright, so it's hard to see, but there you go. Okay, so now we have good working lights. Now it's time to figure out the brightness that we're looking for. So let's separate these apart again. These over here, and then we take this one and we can bend it right around this way, like this to this. like that. Okay, and then that'll come right into our offside here. So these two over here. Now we need to figure out the brightness. Now I already know that on the showroom side I want to hit that with a resistor of probably around 4K. Let's see if I got one here. Yeah. So we'll take one of these resistors and we're going to drop that down in brightness. So we're going to take one of these 4K resistors and let's wrap this around one side. And then we're going to take, yeah. So now we can take our things here. We can add power red to the red. And then we can go to the white one. So we've got that one there. And then we have our resistor light here. So we can take this and add this in there. See, now the brightness is cut significantly, right? So we can dump this on top and kind of see what that looks like. So now we have this. See? That's a nice little brightness for that, and I think we're going to go with that brightness. I'm liking that. We'll go right with that. Okay, so we've got... Okay, so we have 4K to those two. So now we need to add a resistor. I want to put the resistor right up here, up towards the top. So what I'd like to do, let me get these two wires managed. There we go. So out of these two wires here, what I want to do is I'm going to cut this wire, this white wire. I'm going to cut this wire right about here. There we go. So now that's all soldered together. So now we have this center light here is down to the brightness we want. Now the only thing I need to do with that is to put a piece of shrink tube over it. So I have a little piece of shrink tube. And we're going to cut this off. Let's cut this down a little bit. And we're going to slip this right up over the end. And then some people will use the soldering iron. I don't have good luck with it, so all I do is I have a little thing right here. And that's it. So now this one is done. These two wires are done. Now, we don't want 4K going on that, so I think we're going to bring this down to 2.2. Let's see what that looks like. So, take that in there, and the red on the red. And it's a little bit brighter. Let's see what that looks like on top of the garage. So you can see it's a little bit brighter in the garage, right? So I think we're good with that. So let's go add into this strip right here, let's add in the 2.2K resistor. Alright, so all our wires are put together here. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to put some CA to glue these into place like this. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make these two red wires into one, right? So we're going to cut off this one. Oh, I don't know, right about right there. And then we're going to cut off this one like that. And then we're going to strip off and make those into one wire. Now we have one wire, right? And that comes out to this one. This is the positive feed to the whole thing. Like that. Now the white wires, the two white wires, we want to feed those in. I want this one to come below the resistor. We're going to cut this off here. We'll probably cut this one off like right here. And then we're going to tie these together right here. Now we should have two sets of lights at different brightness. Alright, so let's see how that worked out. Always like to test my stuff before I put it in, because you never know what could have gone wrong or what might have gone wrong. Alright, so let's throw some power to it. 1 and 2. So you can see we have two different brightnesses. This one just a bit brighter than this one, and that's what we're looking for. So next thing now is to put all this stuff away and then run. I gotta run a we're gonna put a shrink tube over these two connections here, and then we're gonna drill a hole in this building here, right in the building here, and run the wires out the bottom, and then we can put the roof down. So let me get all this cleaned up, and then we'll get ready to start attaching the roof. Okay, so everything is dried on here now. All the figures inside, everything has dried up. So, and I stuck the roof on top. You can notice it's not painted, but I stuck it on top because I want to check what you can see on the inside as to what's going to show. And there is the showroom. So let me flip on the lights, and this is what we end up with. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. You can see the garage, and then the showroom is lit up like it is. And we have that one figure sitting in the convertible with a salesman standing right there, and another car in the showroom. So that is the building. Alright, so now we need to get this roof painted, attached and finished, and then this building is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back out. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this back out. I'm going to bring it over to the spray booth. I'm going to spray this whole roof black, and then we're going to glue it into place. I'm not going to show the spraying because, well, it's just spraying a flat piece of plastic. It's not a big deal. So let me go get that done, and then we'll get this all attached. Okay, so I went and painted the roof, and this is what it looks like. What I did was I painted it straight flat black, and then I did kind of a mist coat of white just to kill the deep of the black. So it's a little faded black, you know, not a lot, just a little. And we have our lights, and I taped off the bottom side, and I wanted this purposely to stay white. Normally I would paint both sides just to not get the light bleed through it. I didn't do that only because I want the white to brighten up the inside with the lights. I want that all to work together. It'll make it brighter. I did several coats of the black on here, so there is no glow effect coming through this, so I don't have to worry too much about that. So now the thing to do is to get this all installed onto the building here. And what I've done is I've drilled a hole down through the bottom right here, and I'm just going to pass the wires through, and we're going to seat that in place. I'm going to stop right here. Now before I go any further, I'm not going to use CA to put this down with. I'm going to use this 560 glue, this Formula 560. I'm going to put this in with that, so I don't take a chance of fogging the windows up in the interior. And I'm going to put a decent amount along that. And I'm not worrying if I get it up the sidewalls at all, because it dries clear. Okay, and then we're just going to push this down. So I've got to pull through the flip this around this way like this, and then we're going to pull this through and set that roof right in. Now, until this dries, I'm going to let this sit, and I want to put some weight on this just to hold it down in place until all this glue sets. So let me find some weights, and then we'll weight this down, and then when this is dried, we'll come back and we're going to finish off the top of this roof. Okay, so the roof is fully dried. It's been attached. You can see the paint's in here. Everything's dry around here. Let me give you a look at this. Close up look at, you know, the whole look of everything. So here we go. There's the interior, and it actually looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with it. So now it's time to finish off this roof. The lighting is complete. So let's finish off this roof. And what I'm going to do is I have some flat black paint here. You shake this up, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this, and then I have a micro brush here. So with the small brush, I'm just going to put this in the paint, and I'm just going to put a line right around the edge, just like this. So what I'm looking to do is just to get a line going up the side of the roof here, the side walls. Okay, that's all I'm looking to do. It doesn't have to be huge, but I want it going up the side just a small bit, and that's all we need. So now we're going to close this back up, put this to the side, and then we're going to get some white glue. Okay, so this is the white glue, just a little bit in the bottom of the cup. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to take this flat brush right here, and I'm going to put that in the glue, and I'm just going to cover the roof. Okay, so around the edges I'm going to take a little bit of a smaller brush. This one's a little bit too big. Okay, so we've got a nice good coat of glue in there. Now I'm going to take, I have sand. The sand I have is just a very fine beach sand I got from one of our vacations, and I'm going to take this sand here, and you can see it's very, very fine. It probably should be sifted out, but I'm not going to bother. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch this and just cover the roof in this. All right, so the next step now with this is just to put a little layer of color on top of this. So what I'm going to do, and all this is doing is just adding some texture, okay? So now I'm going to take the airbrush and I'm going to just spray this with a very diluted black. It's going to be almost, it's like almost a water. So let me get the airbrush fired up, and I'm going to spray it right here on the desk. I'm not going to bring it into the booth. But let me get the airbrush fired up and we'll take care of that. Okay, so what I have here is I have my airbrush right here, okay? And then I have a little bit of black, and it's thinned down to almost a water. So if I spray this here, like that, it's very, very thin. So I'm just going to take this and just darken this up. So there's our roof. It looks fairly decent. I mean, if you take more time, you can see I have lines in here from the brush marks and the glue. If you smooth those out a little bit more, they won't show so much. But when it's laying flat, it doesn't really show, and I think it looks just fine. I'm not going to sweat this anymore. So I think what I'm going to do now is I have some white diluted the same way, and I'm going to put that in the airbrush. And some of the spots that are a little darker, we can lighten up like that. Yeah. Like that. There we go. Now we fade that black out a little bit more. So we end up like that. That's a little bit better. I think I like that better. Like that. And then we'll call that done. Alright. Now, let me close up these paints. And then we'll do, I got one more thing I want to do with this. The last thing I want to do with this is there are only 3 sides in this building that are going to show. This back side is not going to be seen whatsoever. So I'm not going to bother with anything back here. Alright, but what will be seen is this side and this side. So what I want to do is I want to add some vines growing up the building, okay? And to do that, take a toothpick here and some more of this white glue. I'm going to lay the cup on its side so this doesn't spread around. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw some lines with the white glue. And you just want them random, right around everywhere where you want the vines to grow. Okay, I think I'm going to call it a day with that. I think we'll live with that. So now I have some fine ground cover. It's just a fine green ground cover here. The color really doesn't matter. I'm going to do this in a very dark green, but you can do whatever works for you. And I'm just going to sprinkle this over the top. I'm going to cover it up pretty good. And then over my garbage can, I'm just going to shake this off. And then that's what we end up with. Okay. It looks pretty good. It's fairly effective, and the thinner your lines are on this, the better off you are. And you can add as much of this or as little as you want. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Now, I may end up adding a little bit more because I kind of like the look of it. So I'll add a little bit more. Just take your time. Okay. And there we have vines growing on the side of the building. And then when you actually add this to the layout, you put some shrubs down at the bottom of this, and you get that effect. Gives you the effect of vines growing up the building. I don't know if I'll put any on this side or not. I'm thinking I may just stick to this side. This will be the overgrown side of the of the building, because this is a side that's going to face the railroad tracks. So I'm thinking there's probably not going to be a lot of, you know, yard care kind of stuff. They're probably not going to deal with that too much over there, but this side faces a parking lot. It would be a little more clean and a little more neat. So I think that's going to be it for this. So we've taken care of this side. The front's good like it is, and I think this side's going to live like it is, and we're going to call it a day. I think that's going to be it for this build altogether. So I hope you enjoyed the build. I certainly did. And stay tuned for the next ones, where we're going to start installing these next time. I think we're gonna go on to that series that I gave you a teaser for rebuilding a city. We now have we have this building here, we have the gas station with the lighted canopy over the pumps, and we have the strip mall. And I think that's enough to get this going, to actually start building our city and getting things going in there, and we can start planning out roads and things. So if you're just finding me and you're just seeing this for the first time, by all means subscribe to my channel. Love to have you along. Check out the other videos that I've done. A lot of stuff to see. So until next time, happy modeling.